Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into a book that's definitely sparked some interest based on your requests. Why We Want You to Be Rich by Donald Trump and Robert Kiyosaki.
That's right. We're looking at their core ideas on wealth creation. We've got a summary of the audiobook, and the plan is, really, to pull out the key philosophies, the main arguments they make.
Exactly. Whether you're prepping for something or just curious about their take, we want to unpack the critical stuff for you.
So our mission, if you like, is to get a handle on the economic forces and the mindsets they believe are crucial for getting wealthy based on this summary.
Okay, let's jump in. First up, their view on the current economic landscape. What are they seeing?
Well, the summary really highlights a few big challenges they see. Rising national debt is a major one. Their point isn't just the big number, but the potential impact, right? Like higher taxes down the line, maybe higher interest rates.
And maybe less government flexibility in a crisis.
Precisely. And that feeds into their concerns about inflation. They frame it as, actively eroding your money's value, making everything more expensive.
Which hits savings, makes running a business tougher with rising costs. It sounds like they see it as a pretty urgent problem.
Definitely. And then there's the widening gap between the rich and the poor. They present this not just as a social issue, but something that actually affects economic opportunity for everyone else. Makes it harder to climb the ladder, so to speak.
It's quite a, challenging picture they paint. And globalization fits in there, too.
Yeah, it's interesting how they frame it, kind of a double-edged sword. You get more choices, maybe cheaper goods sometimes.
But the flip side is job security concerns.
Right.
Outsourcing, automation.
Exactly. And the fact that financial markets are so interconnected means problems can spread really fast. They seem to lean toward the idea that for the average person, the risks might be outweighing the immediate benefits.
So these factors, debt, inflation, the wealth gap, globalization, they aren't just observations for them. They're the reason why individuals need a different approach.
That seems to be the core argument, yes. That in this kind of environment, you can't just rely on the old ways. You have to take more direct control of your financial future.
Which leads right into their points about the decline of the middle class.
Right. The summary mentions things like automation, globalization again, the gig economy, basically saying that those traditional, stable middle-class jobs, they're changing or maybe disappearing.
And wages aren't keeping up with the rising costs of, everything, housing, healthcare, education.
Exactly. So you put those stagnant wages together with rising costs and the economic picture they painted earlier. It explains why they focus so much on the vulnerability of the middle class.
And the societal impact of that shrinking middle class, less stability, maybe more inequality.
That's certainly implied.
Thanks.
It all points towards needing new strategies, which brings us to financial education. This seems huge for them.
Absolutely. It sounds like they see it as fundamental for building resilience in this kind of economy. You need the skills, budgeting, saving, investing to navigate it all.
And they seem quite critical of traditional schooling for not really covering this practical financial knowledge adequately.
So if school isn't teaching it, where do you learn? Early financial education seems key from their perspective.
It does. Starting young, building those habits, it's about giving people the tools to adapt, manage their money effectively, and build a solid foundation.
Okay, so traditional paths are shaky. Financial education is key. What about learning from those who've, made it? This wealthy mindset they talk about.
Yeah, this is a big part of it. A core difference they highlight is how the wealthy supposedly view money not just for spending, but as a tool, something to create more opportunity, more wealth. It's proactive.
As opposed to just reacting when bills come in.
Exactly. And linked to that is a willingness to take calculated risks, not being reckless, but understanding that sometimes you need to step outside the comfort zone strategically to get ahead.
And continuous learning is part of that mindset too, not just a one-off course.
Absolutely. They present it as a lifelong thing, always learning about markets, strategies, finance, and seeking out mentors, advisors, people who've done it.
Like the influence of Fred Trump on Donald or Kiyosaki's rich dad concept.
Perfect examples. Learning from experience from people who embody the principles they're teaching. That leads into another key idea. Multiple income streams.
Right, not just relying on the one paycheck. Diversifying your income sources. Passive income comes up a lot.
It does. It's about building security and, frankly, accelerating wealth building. And investing is central, too, taking that long-term view, diversifying across assets, real estate, stocks, bonds.
And they mentioned tax planning, too. Seems crucial in their view for keeping and growing wealth.
Definitely. It's not just about making money, but strategically managing it, including the tax implications.
Now, the title itself, Why We Want You to Be RYCH, it suggests something beyond just individual gain. Let's talk about that personal empowerment angle.
Yeah, they frame financial independence as real empowerment. Freedom from financial stress, the ability to pursue things you actually care about, not just work to pay bills.
Breaking free from that paycheck to paycheck cycle. Adopting what they call an abundance mentality.
Right, believing there's opportunity out there. And the personal benefits are clear. Security, yes, but also access to better education, healthcare, more control over your time. Real freedom.
But they also seem to suggest it benefits society, too.
It seems so. The idea is that more financially independent people contribute to a more stable economy, drive innovation, create jobs, maybe even help reduce inequality if wealth is created more broadly.
And education financial in general is the engine for that.
That link is constantly made, equipping people with the knowledge to seize those opportunities. Wealth isn't just accumulation. It's potentially a tool for positive change, philanthropy, maybe driving bigger systemic shifts, leaving a legacy.
Which comes with responsibilities too, presumably.
Yes, the summary touches on the ethical considerations that come with wealth as well.
Okay, so how do they suggest people actively do this? Entrepreneurship seems like a major path they advocate.
A very significant one. They contrast the perceived safety of a job with the potential rewards, and importantly, the autonomy of starting your own thing. They almost challenge the idea that a traditional job is secure anymore.
And they offer steps, like find an idea, make a plan, get funding, build a team.
Yeah, the summary outlines those practical steps. Identify the idea, business plan, funding, team, marketing, operations, financial management, scaling up. It's presented as a kind of roadmap.
And again, multiple income streams, even for entrepreneurs.
Yes, reducing risk. Not putting all your eggs in one basket, even if it's your own business basket. Finding other ways to grow, create passive income alongside the main venture.
Investing is the other big pillar, of course. The summary mentions various types.
It does, gives an overview. Real estate, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, even touches on metals, commodities, crypto, but with a caution on risk, especially for things like crypto.
Real estate gets a lot of focus, though, doesn't it? Why do you think that is?
Well, the summary suggests several reasons. It's tangible, you can see it, touch it. That feels secure to many. Potential for appreciation, rental income provides cash flow, tax advantages are often cited, and the ability to use leverage, borrowed money.
Leverage is a big one in their philosophy, it seems.
It seems to be, but with any investment, there's risk, and they do stress understanding and managing that.
How so?
Things like knowing your own tolerance for risk, diversification, spreading your money around, having a clear allocation strategy, doing your homework on investments.
Due diligence.
Right. And monitoring things, rebalancing your portfolio as needed. Even mentions hedging and understanding market cycles. It's about being informed and proactive about risk, not just ignoring it.
We mentioned mentors earlier in the context of mindset. It seems like a recurring theme.
Very much so. The value of finding someone experienced to guide you, share their knowledge, help you avoid mistakes. It's presented as a huge accelerator. Networking opportunities, too.
Learning from others' successes and failures.
Exactly. And the examples of Trump learning from his father, Kiyosaki, from his rich dad, they use those to illustrate just how powerful that kind of guidance can be.
Okay, let's circle back to mindset because it feels like it underpins everything else. Thinking like the rich.
It really does seem to be the foundation. Adopting a growth mindset, believing you can develop the abilities needed, having a clear vision, setting big goals, being open to new ideas, focusing on creating value.
And resilience, right.
Right.
Bouncing back from setbacks.
Crucial. Developing that adaptability. And they offer ideas for overcoming fear and doubt, which can be big barriers for people.
Like what?
Like first, just acknowledging the fear. Then, educating yourself, knowledge builds confidence. Having a clear process for making decisions, building a support network, maybe even mindfulness techniques. And just accepting that learning involves making mistakes sometimes.
It's about managing the emotional side of money, too.
Absolutely. And looking ahead, they stress preparing for the future, adapting to a constantly changing economy.
How do they suggest doing that?
Understanding the forces of change, like technology, being flexible, agile, committing to continuous learning and skill development, using data, being innovative, building that financial resilience we talked about.
And it's not just about your own finances, but planning a legacy.
Yes, thinking about future generations. Estate planning, wills, trusts, how to transfer wealth effectively, ensure security for heirs, maybe incorporating philanthropy. And it's not set it and forget it. You need to review and adjust those plans.
But all of that rests on getting the basics right first.
Definitely. Managing debt, saving consistently, investing wisely, having that emergency fund, building that strong financial foundation is step one.
So after laying all this out, the challenges, the mindset, the strategies, what's the final push? What's the core message?
It really boils down to taking action. The summary hits this hard. Start now. Don't procrastinate. Set clear, actionable goals. Make a plan. Take small, consistent steps.
Even if they're small steps.
Especially if they're small steps initially. Deal with challenges as they come. Use the resources available. And commit to lifelong learning about finance. Keep improving.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive on why we want you to be RESCH. The big themes seem to be: understand the economy, get the right mindset through education and mentors, embrace entrepreneurship and smart investing, plan for the future, and crucially, act.
That sums it up well. It's their specific viewpoint, of course, Trump and Kiyosaki's perspective. But understanding these principles they lay out, it can offer valuable insights for anyone looking to improve their financial knowledge and build wealth wherever you're starting from.
That's a great way to put it. So for you listening, here's something to think about. Which specific idea from this discussion resonates most with you right now? And more importantly, what's one small, concrete action you could take, maybe even today, to start applying that principle in your own life? Food for thought. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.